Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton joined several New York leaders and other prominent officials on Thursday to campaign for Governor Kathy Hochul's re-election. The event, held at Barnard College, aimed to specifically get women out to the polls. Clinton took aim at Hochul's opponent, Republican Congressman Lee Zeldin, and Donald Trump for, quote, literally fighting tooth and nail to turn back the clock. She also lambasted Kari for joking about the recent attack on Nancy Pelosi's husband. Current polls show Hochul leading Zeldin by a slight margin.
Wow, I am so excited to be here with all of you. I want to thank all the Columbia Democrats for hosting. It is so good to be back at Barnard and to be with so many representatives of our government at the local, state, and national level who care about your future and are doing everything they can to make a difference. And I personally am thrilled that we're going to have Vice President Harris with us today. I want to thank all of my wonderful former colleagues and friends who you will be seeing, including Attorney General Tish James, New York Senate Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins, New York City Council Speaker Adrian Adams, my former colleague in the Senate Chuck Schumer, and of course, Governor Kathy Hochul. Now, you're going to hear from the governor and the vice president. I just want to put what we're doing here today in some context, because this election on Tuesday is one that will have such far-ranging repercussions. And I think you know that. That's why you're here. But I am going to ask you to get out after today's rally and literally get everybody you know to turn out and vote early, vote on Tuesday, because every issue that I can think of that I imagine you could care about is literally on the ballot. You know, I've known Kathy Hochul for a long time. She and I have worked together. I really appreciate the way she's bringing new leadership and stability and new hope for our future to New York. And I think it's about time, since this was the state where the women's suffrage movement was born, that we would have a woman governor. Now, when I think about Kathy, I think about someone who actually legitimately cares about the people of this state and has proven it over her long life in public service. And as lieutenant governor, she crisscrossed New York, literally going to every single county and a lot of the towns and villages and hamlets within them, bringing all kinds of good ideas, bringing people together. But this election, like every election, is a choice. And it's not just a choice between two candidates. It is a choice between two very different ideas about who we are as a state and a country, how we should work together or not, what kind of future we want for ourselves, our children, and our grandchildren. I think it's fair to say that if you paid attention to this campaign, the Republicans make no secret about what they want to do. They actually say the quiet part out loud. And Lee Zeldin, Kathy's opponent, along with, good response, along with Donald Trump and their allies, are literally fighting tooth and nail to turn back the clock. Think about it. Yes, of course, they want to turn back the clock on abortion. They spent 50 years trying to make that happen. But they want to turn back the clock on women's rights in general, on civil rights, on voting rights, on gay rights. They are determined to exercise control over who we are, how we feel and believe and act in ways that I thought we had long left behind. But they have gone even further. They want to put more guns on our streets, more pollution in our air and our water, more power for the super rich and less for everybody else. That is their vision. And it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody who's actually paid attention. And so we have to hold them accountable for that. And one of the ways of doing it is by making sure that Kathy Hochul remains our governor. Now, she's already made a difference. She's already helped to create good-paying jobs. I don't know if any of you are from the Hudson Valley or from the Syracuse area, but working in partnership with the Biden administration, within the last 3 weeks, we've had these huge announcements. $100 billion by Micron outside of Syracuse. $100 billion. $20 billion by IBM in the Hudson Valley. Why? Because the Biden administration and the Democratic Congress passed a law that finally said, we're going to get serious about advanced manufacturing, chips, and everything else that makes the modern economy run. And so Kathy Hochul got on the phone and started calling companies that she knew were on the brink of making big decisions about where to put these advanced manufacturing plants. And she made the case for New York. And it was a case that, you know, she made with passion. She's from New York. She's from the Buffalo area. She gets the fact that upstate New York really began the Industrial Revolution in America, fell on some hard times, and we have a chance to bring it back if we have Kathy Hochul as the governor working to do just that. So, you know, when I think about what the Republicans intend to do, and I pay attention, because I can remember not so long ago I was telling people they're going to stack the Supreme Court and they're going to overturn Roe v. Wade, and I have faint memories of people saying, oh, that's so exaggerated. So let me tell you, they're going to cut Social Security and Medicare in order to give more tax cuts to the wealthy. That is the plan. And if you don't think it will happen, just listen to them. And if you are still on Twitter, I am, if you still are, there is some great video of the Republican senator from Utah, Mike Lee, saying out loud that he wants to pull Social Security and Medicare up by the roots and get rid of them. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't imagine that that's a popular opinion if people actually hear it. So make sure everybody you know hears it for the next couple of days. And, you know, we have to look at all of the important matters that are at stake. And I have to also just reflect that I've seen, I'm sure you have, well, maybe you don't watch television, but if you did, you would see what I see, which are ads about crime every 30 seconds, right? No solutions, but just a lot of really fearful, scary pictures and scary music. And of course, I want everybody to be safe. Honestly, who's against that? But then a terrible crime happens in San Francisco. An intruder hits an 82-year-old man in the head with a hammer who happens to be married to the Speaker of the House, and the Republicans joke about it. The woman running for governor in Arizona jokes about it. Now, why would any sensible person want to give power to somebody who thinks it's funny that a person gets assaulted in his own home? So, you know, they don't care about keeping you safe. They want to keep you scared so that you can't think straight and you end up voting against your interests. So, just look at Lee Zeldin's record. He voted against equal pay for women, against renewing the Violence Against Women Act, against access to abortion and even birth control, against raising the minimum wage, and funding Medicare. So I don't know why any sensible person who cares about the economy, who cares about the cost of living, who cares about, how to get ahead, would vote for someone who votes against them and their families. But we have to make sure that every voter knows what's at stake. And the only way we can get the kind of future we want is to elect Democrats who care about democracy, who care about protecting our rights and our values, who respect our institutions and the rule of law. And one of those is our current governor, who I believe should be our next governor. So please join me in welcoming Governor Kathy Hochul.